Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to the Melanin Nexus. Today we are here to talk about all things Dreamcon. So one, don't mind me, it's a little hot. I don't know if y'all know this, I live in Houston. So I'm gonna just go ahead and turn on my little fan to keep me going a little bit. Actually, you know what, you're a little loud. We're gonna turn you back down. But yeah, so I took notes because I wanted to kind of cover everything. So for those who don't know, Dreamcon is the Comic-Con that is held in August. This year it was in Austin. This year it was held at the end of July. So I went with a couple friends that I knew were going. Plus I bought two homies with me. So it was all in all like a really, really good time. So I'm just gonna talk about positives first. So the positive number one, it's not specifically for Black people, but it's a lot of Black people that go to this con. So if you've been hesitant about going to Comic Cons and stuff, because as we all know, nerd spaces can be very racist towards us. And so sometimes it's not always as welcoming to go to cons and feel like you belong. Trust me, babes, you have no problem with that here. The amount of beautiful cosplays that we saw during this time, just like to walk into a con and the lines are just filled with us. That was the first time that I've ever been to a nerd event where it was majority Black people. And there were other races of people there, obviously, because again, like I said, this is not like a Black only event like people try to make it seem. Like, it's not a Black only event. I will say that I feel like it covered like a whole different like variety of nerds. There was a basketball event, dodgeball, trap karaoke. There were tons of different panels like Name That Tune, how to be a game developer, even one weirdly enough like how to pick up hotties, which meh. There was such a variety. Nintendo was there. There was a whole room devoted to like game demos and things like that. Tournaments. Again, it was a wide variety of nerd things. And I know that the owner says like it's not just for nerds. The free stuff, like the stuff that you pay your general base ticket for, most of that, if not like 99% of it, was nerd focused. So like the events that you see on their Instagram and stuff where they're like for the trap karaoke, the basketball tournament, the dodgeball tournament, the rap battle, the nerdlesque, all of those things like you have to RSVP for separately. And it usually costs some money. Like some of them were like $20. Like the parties, most of those were RSVP separate from the ticket that you already had to go to the event. And you had to RSVP for them. So like I just want to let y'all know like the ads, yeah, they're fun, but you gotta be like on Instagram 24/7 to get the information of when it's released to like actually be able to get it before it's sold out, which I'll talk about later. Another positive for me was Artist Alley. I forgot to take video of Artist Alley. It was really crammed. But the best part about Artist Alley for me was seeing how many Black creators were in the space. And like, again, it wasn't like a Dalmatian spot type of situation. It was like, wow, like I don't have to search. Like, come on. You would never find a shirt like this at a regular con unless you like got lucky and the vendor decided she was gonna do a con, and you would have had to walk around the whole place. Like you wouldn't have been able to just find Black nerd things so readily available except at a con like this. I'm guessing BlurredCon kind of has the same vibe, but I've never been to BlurredCon. I will eventually go to have my thoughts, but like shopping was fun. Again, it was really, really nice to be the majority in a nerd space. So I did shop a lot. I will be doing a haul video separate from this video because I don't know how long I'm about to talk in this video. Another thing that I really enjoyed, well, surprisingly, they had food. So in Artist Alley in the back, they had food options. There was like a jerk chicken option, a Korean barbecue option, and a barbecue option. And we tried the jerk chicken and the Korean barbecue, and they were both pretty good. So I will say, like, I really like the fact that there was some food options like in the place. I would have loved some food trucks. Since we are in Austin, I feel like could have really got onto the food scene pretty well, because I mean, it's Austin. Austin has some great food options. I also like, I know this is not, I feel like because they were doing a convention hotel, like I was drinking water all the time, except for like early Saturday, but like water was available in certain places. Obviously there wasn't a lot of seating. So if you are a person that needs to sit down a lot, like I realize I'm a person right now that has to sit down a lot, as I'm transitioning into this whole new life busted knee thing that I've been going through. But there was still a lot of space to like rest and sit down. It felt overwhelming to me a little bit, because it was just like, wow, it's so many of us, it's so many Black people. But then also they had the artist alley in there crammed like sardines, which we'll get to that soon too. The two favorite panels that let's see, we did a Name That Tune one where like we did a lot of game show kind of things. So there was a Name That Tune one that I went to. That one was not great. I'll talk about that later. We went to I'm Gonna Sing Disney. So it was like a Disney karaoke where it's like a bunch of Black people in one room singing Disney songs. Absolutely so much fun. I'll try to include clips here, but yeah, that was so much fun. And then also the fact that I knew some people there made it so much better, because we all met up. We didn't all go together. So like I said, I had two people with me, and then I knew other people that were going. And so during the day, we would just text each other like, hey, where you at? And luckily, unfortunately, the D&D session that some of my friends were going to, they only had one dungeon master. Oh, that's another thing. They have tabletop gaming, console gaming, and board games. They had rooms specifically for those as well. And so one of my friends, she went, but she said they only had one dungeon master and it was like 30 people. So that was kind of a flop, but we all met up and went to the Disney one, and it was so much fun. 10 out of 10, highly recommend it. Like, I want them to ask me for critiques, because I will sing happy praises for that. Me and my friend DJ, we also went to this one. It was like Harajuku Nails, where the panel instructor was going to show us how to make our own press-on nails, but unfortunately it did not go fully the way that we planned. So we ended up just like laying a tarp out and like making the nails, because they did not give her a space big enough, nor did they give her tables that she requested, which we'll talk about in a second, because that's on my critique side. But I really liked her, and I feel like had they given her the space that she needed, that would have been a really, really fun hands-on panel, because I don't think I've ever been to a con and done a hands-on kind of panel. Like, it's normally just like listening to people talk at the front. Another one that I did that was very interesting. It was I think it was like African spirituality and how it plays into the nerd spaces. So there was a lot of discussion about how different African or non-westernized spiritual practices are heavily in our video games that we play, like Orisa from Overwatch, Dr. Facilier, you know, like the way that they're turned in, and how sometimes they're always painted negatively even though they're not really negative. So I thought that was a very good discussion. I do feel like I would have liked to have a deeper discussion about that, but that was her first time hosting that panel. So I give her a thumbs up, because I think she did a really good job. Now, I love being Black. I love being a nerd, but there were some things about Dreamcon that I hope gets better, but I do want to let people know while it's still fresh in my mind. So if you ask me what I think about Dreamcon, I'm going to tell you I had a blast. I have no regrets. I had so much fun. I got to cosplay with friends. Like, this was an overall great experience. But as a business person, I do pinpoint things. And I first want to start talking about Artist Alley. Artist Alley was so crammed. I think the spaces, one booth gives you a 6-foot table, and that's about how much space you get. I think it's like 6 by 6. It's very small. They crammed them in there so tight that it was like too full to walk around. This was the smallest artist alley in terms of like space to walk, to the point where we decided that we would go in early. So we were getting there at like 10:30 in the morning, so that when the doors open at 11, because there was a line, that we could go into Artist Alley and shop freer and like with less crowds of people. Because on Friday when I went in, it was so overwhelming. There was so many people. It was so packed you could barely walk around. But on Saturday and Sunday when we went in the morning, there were still a lot of people in there, but like you could walk around without feeling like you're like this, like walking through the crowds. So I did in fact get to shop because we went early. And as the day progressed, it got more and more crowded. So I would like them to create more space between, make the hallways part more space. They had a row in the front of like meet and greet, and it was a lot of creators. There weren't any like, I don't know, I'm not being offensive when I say this. There weren't any actual famous people. It was a lot of like social media creators. And I know they have their own celebrityism type feel, but I would have liked the meet and greets to be put in a separate room. That way the whole floor of that one space could be utilized for Artist Alley. One, I think that the artists deserve bigger booths. So if you're just doing Artist Alley or not an exhibitor, you can choose. I think you can only get like a 6x6 space. It's not very big, and it's something that I'm considering because I do want to vend at Dreamcon, so I am weighing out my options and seeing like what happens. Another thing is like normally when I go to a con, you can see the name like up top above their booth and like the booth number, so that I can always remember like I need to come back. That's another thing. Like there were no signs. There were no signs really like anywhere. Like there were signs on the escalators for like very broad. Like it was times we didn't even realize what floor we were on. There were no signs for that. There were no, the con was between the convention center and the hotel. So like if you got to the hotel, there were no signs. Like you had to look at your thing to see what the room number was and then look on the hotel map. It would have been nice to just have some arrows like, hey, go down this way, go down that way, because you end up walking like the whole thing to realize that it was just on the other side. Signs would have been helpful for a lot of reasons. We didn't even realize, we didn't actually find the gaming space until Sunday. And that was because we decided to just take a different route and like walk to the back. There were no signs or anything indicating that anything was back there. So I feel like I missed out on a good part of the con because there were no signs. So like I said, signage was a huge deal, not only to indicate like where you were in Artist Alley. So like say if I wanted to come back for something, I had to take a picture of it, of like the booth and like the one next to it to kind of remember where it could possibly be. So that was quite interesting and a little frustrating. But signs in general were like a huge issue. Another thing that I found kind of annoying, but I guess I kind of understand, is the fact that, like I said, the con is between the convention center and the hotel solely on floor 4 and floor 6. Yeah, 4 and 6. So instead of blocking off 4 and 6 to where only con people can go from the hotel side, every time you left the convention center to walk across, because there was a walkway across to go to the hotel side, you had to go back through security on the con side to get back into the con. That made it to where, say for example, you had one panel or a session or whatever at the hotel at 3:30 to 4:30, and then you had another event or another a thing that started at like 5, you more than likely, if it's not already in the hotel and you had to go back next door, you probably weren't going to get there on time, and the likelihood of it being full before you got there was going to be high, because we had to fight for our lives in these lines. Like we were standing in lines like 45 minutes before the sessions, because there was no line control. And so people with no decorum saw the line and then would just cut the line. And it's like, we're grown. So there really shouldn't be, we shouldn't need crowd control, but unfortunately not everybody has good home training. And so we had to stand in line and like basically fight for our spots. It was very ridiculous and annoying. That part I really did not like. Oh, another thing that we noticed was the sessions and the panels that were more focused towards female identifying people. They were put in the smaller rooms. The RDC, I think that's what they call themselves. I forgot what they call themselves. I don't really know who they are. You could tell where they put their focus. I will put it like that. Like, it was very much like what they liked and what they wanted to do. It wasn't really put on like everybody. Like I was talking about earlier, the Harajuku nails one, she needed a bigger room. Like there was lines to get into this little room, and then we ran out of chairs, but then we also needed tables. We took all the chairs out of the room and people were still in the hallway. So like we laid out tarps on the floor to like try to do a little bit of the classes she wanted to do. But she even said, like, she said that to do her thing, she needed a bigger room and tables, and they could not even do that for her. It was just a lot. All in all, I was like, I do see a difference there, and I want that critique to be taken better, because the popular ones where there was a lot of people in a long line, like you know, 30-40 minutes before the session, the rooms that they were in was small. The only room that wasn't small was the Disney singing one. That one was like room 18, but it was A, B, C, and D, whereas a lot of these other rooms were just one room. So I do feel like there needs to be some logistics. I don't know what their logistics team consist of, but I do think that they need somebody with a better understanding of logistics and like the things that you need to make things run more efficiently, because I feel like signage, crowd control, room sizes, I feel like that all lays under the jurisdiction of logistics. And so I know that they are a baby con, they are young. The con is very young, so I do see it getting better. That's just my critique. I feel like we just need to get a little bit better with the organization. And some of these panels, like for example, why are you hosting a D&D event with only one dungeon master? If there's only one dungeon master, then there needs to be a cap of how many people can participate in the panel. You know what I'm saying? It's like those kind of things. I feel like because the creators of Dreamcon don't really have an interest in it, they accepted the panel without making sure that it was going to be a successful panel. And I don't know if they play D&D. I have no idea what they do, but it's very apparent which ones they have personal knowledge with and where they put their money and where they put their thoughts. I'll say it like that. Also, like I said, if you were like me and didn't really know about Dreamcon but saw like Dreamcon on Instagram, Dreamcon is lit. And to be clear, Dreamcon is lit. But like the dodgeball tournament that we saw, the basketball tournament, the rap battles, all of those things are separate from your Dreamcon ticket. And they post about this online. I think they also posted in the Discord. But if you're like me and you're not a Discord person and you work a full 9-to-5 where you're not able to just sit on social media all day, you will miss out on these RSVPs, because you have to go to, I think, like the Leap app and RSVP, and these RSVPs cost money. So yeah, we did not get to do any of those because we did not RSVP to any of them. And that's just something that's like, if that's what is drawing your attention, please be aware that you are going to have to RSVP for those separately. And I noticed that a lot of the RSVPs for these events came like in the middle of the day, like 11, 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, or like they came 2-3 weeks right before the con. And I personally, I'm like, for example, we know trap karaoke is gonna happen. We know y'all are doing the dodgeball event. Just because you don't exactly know which day you're doing it, like still put the RSVP out there. Like you already know it's happening. So let us budget my money better, because instead I'm like, well, I spent, you know, I paid the $100 when I did the first ticket raffle for the weekend pass, which was a great deal, but you know, I'm paying $20 here, $20 here, $20 here, $20 here. It's like, these are things that just need to be more forthcoming with the information, because without knowing about it, I thought that that was going to be something that we could just stand in line for, not realizing. And the app is pretty good, but the app needs to be a little bit more. And so those are my critiques. Let me see if I missed anything else. The last thing that I want to touch on is accessibility. I Did see people with scooters and wheelchairs. However, like I said, Artist Alley is was very tight spaced. I don't think from an accessibility standpoint that that's good. I don't see people being able to thoroughly navigate between the spaces. I did see a girl with the scooter. She was working them corners really well. But for people that use like regular wheelchairs and stuff, I could see that being difficult for them. Also, the transportation between the con and the hotel. So if you were on the top floor, you could go across this little bridge, except the bridge has stairs. There are no ramps or anything up there. So you would have to go down to the first floor, go out, come around the side, go up the ramp of the hotel, take the elevator from the hotel back up to the top floor. And like, it's possible, but in the smaller rooms, they're not accessible to everybody. I think I did see like an accessibility room, but it was literally just a room with a TV. And so I don't really consider that like fully accessible for people with mobility aids. That is something to consider. You will have to schedule your time a little bit more even than what we had to, because the elevators are not close. Like the elevators are, like if this is the floor, the elevator is over here and most of the sessions were over here. So you do have to plan that out, and the elevators were slow as a mug. But yeah, so basically, would I do Dreamcon again? Absolutely. Like I said, I love being Black. I love being a nerd, and being in that space made me feel all the feels. Like I said, I believe that this con is going to be one of the big cons soon. It's already super getting its name out there. And I know that the owner is like, oh, it's not just for nerds, it's for everybody. But I'm gonna let y'all know, if you're not a nerd, you might be a little confused because everybody was cosplaying. There was a heavier focus on anime than other cosplays. Like, I saw other cosplays, but there were a lot of anime focused ones, and they have meetups for those. So like if you were planning on cosplaying My Hero, there was like a My Hero meetup on Friday and everybody took pictures. There was a Jujutsu Kaisen one. Like there was literally one just for Nominee, and Sailor Moon, and yeah, so I know that he said it wasn't a nerd con, but listen, y'all, it was a nerd con. That's my thoughts. Will Melanin Eclectic be vending there next year? Fingers crossed. If I don't get selected to vend at the event, I more than likely might go again next year, because that was a quick 2-hour drive from here. So with that being said, I've been talking for like 25 minutes. So thank y'all so much for checking out the Melanin Nexus. And until the next time, guys, because I do not have a catchphrase yet, bye.